Yeah, my name is Mark Anthony Kabangi Ngigi. I'm a student of Masters of Science in Construction Management, Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology in Kenya. My presentation is on an investigation into the effect of resource usage on sustainable low-cost housing in KAJIADO County of Kenya. My presentation was informed by the fact that there is scarcity of housing in Kenya, which normally sometimes leads to adoption of squatters or scattered settlements, or even invading of government-owned land. The resources are backbone of every economy. The resources are the backbone of every economy and provide two basic functions. That is raw materials for production of goods and services, and the environmental services. So in the construction industry, new constraints such as efficient resource usage and low environmental impact requires innovative, sustainable solutions that reveals that resources such as building materials have been established to account for more than almost half the total cost of a building or a total cost of housing expenditure. Resource usage, which cuts the cost, is a critical concern, because when you have cheaper resource or cheaper materials, then the cost of housing is also cut in a significant manner. There is also the fact of land, which is a major constraining factor in our county, or in our country, Kenya. And thus, when I narrow to KAJIADO, there is that scarcity of land, because most of the slum dwellers do not own land, which is owned, they only occupy lands owned by either the central government or the county government, making land inaccessible to majority who need most but cannot afford the premium prices. Then we require to do the funding, or we maybe have the construction of state houses that can be used to, that can be issued to the dwellers. There is a critical gap within the existing literature, which reveals that resource usage is not taken in the seriousness it deserves, and therefore should be considered. My investigation anticipated that to determine the effect of resource usage on sustainable low-cost housing, which attempts to solve that particular problem. The sustainable low-cost housing in KAJIADO County remains a critical challenge, despite the fact that the Ministry of Housing in our country has tried to upgrade housing units for the residents of KAJIADO County. Sustainability of such projects has not been achieved because of the poor resource usage in our country. The study investigated the effect of resource usage on sustainable low-cost housing. The study adopted a descriptive survey design, and the data was collected using the questionnaires and analyzed using the SPSS. Therefore, the study revealed a significant relationship existed between resource usage and the low-cost housing. So the research procedure and data presentation I adopted was the descriptive survey design and correlation research design that analyzed the data which was collected. The questionnaires and interview schedules were used to collect the quantitative and qualitative. The collected data was entered and edited, coded, and entered into SPSS software for analysis. The data was presented using frequency tables and percentages, mean and mean. Hypothesis testing was done using ANOVA and regression models. So allow me to go to the findings. The results indicated the value of F calculated as 22.376. The value is large enough to infer that the overall regression model of the study was significant and thus suitable for use in the study. The findings reveals that land regulation and property titles were at the cornerstone of housing. It was shown that labor costs were the most influential determinant of house cost, and that scarcity of the land led to escalating land prices as well as house price, besides the fact that labor as a resource contributed to the cost of the houses as well. So we looked at the users. The users, as one of the respondents, said that they gave hand in the construction process and that the building materials used was of good quality, besides the fact that the government has supported the implementation of houses for them. Some of the resources which, with an influence of cost of housing that the study established, include the capital, entrepreneurship, land, labor, and entrepreneurship, land, labor, entrepreneurship, and building materials, and organism. So in my findings, the data collected was then coded. As I said, we selected a sample of 63 respondents who took part in the study, giving a respondents rate of 100%. So the results were as follows. The user's perception of resource usage on the sustainable low-cost housing, there was adequate land for use to build the houses with that particular mean of 3.27. Building of materials used is of good quality, with a mean of 3.54 and a standard deviation of 0.998. The house is finished on time due to the availability of the finances when the finances are available. The mean was 3.48 with a standard deviation of 0.788. And they also say that the government supported the implementation of houses. The respondents had a mean of 3.52 and a standard deviation of 0.948. Majority of the users agreed with a mean of 3.709 that they gave hand in the construction, as we have seen. That means there is all support of all the implementation, as we have said, but the major key thing is the availability of land, which is a major constraining factor, as I have said. And that is the first thing, that is the first variable that have more weight in the resource usage, because land availability and also the labor and also the capital. My conclusion was housing resource usage has significant effect on the low-cost housing. Building materials account for more than half the total housing or the expenditure, which comes from the building materials. Inadequate land availability negatively affect on the goal of the shelter, on the goal of offering shelter to all. Property titles, acquisition, and land regulations are at the cornerstone of housing in Kenya. Labor costs are the most influential determinant of house cost and the scarcity of land, which leads to escalating land prices, as well as escalated prices of houses, besides the fact that labor as a resource also contributes to the cost of the houses at a larger significance. So I therefore recommended, my recommendation was that all contractors in Kenya should enhance their housing resource usage through the value engineering, so as to cut on the cost of the houses, and therefore offer low-cost housing in Kenya and Kajiado County specifically. And that brings me to the end of my presentation. Any questions?
Thank you, Mark, for your wonderful presentation. Good research work with respect to in your country with respect to all these things. Nice to hear that with respect to your presentations. So.